जिंदगी की सबसे साफ और मासूम यादें हमेशा बचपन की ही होती हैं। बचपन की वो झलकियां आज भी मेरे साथ चलती हैं। सुबह सुबह बैग कंधे पे डालकर स्कूल जाना, दोपहर में दोस्तों के साथ क्रिकेट खेलना, शाम को 6 से 9 तक पढ़ाई की मेज़ पर बैठना, किताब खुली रहती और कब नज़रें भारी होकर नींद आ जाती पता ही नहीं चलता। रात के खाने के बाद थोड़ा टीवी देखना और फिर गहरी बेफिक्र नींद में डूब जाना। दिस वॉज प्रीटी मच माई एवरीडे रूटीन ड्यूरिंग माई स्कूल डेज। बचपन में मुझे टीवी देखना बहुत पसंद था, मोस्टली कार्टून्स। और कभी कभी एनिमल प्लैनेट या नेशनल जियोग्राफिक चैनल। आई वॉज फैसिनेटेड बाई प्लेफुल monkeys, elephants walking in herds, colorful birds in the sky, and the endless beauty of oceans filled with life. बचपन में जिंदगी जैसे बस बहा कर ले जा रही थी। हर सुबह मैं पापा के साथ वैन में स्कूल जाता। कुछ समय बाद पापा ने उसी वैन में कुछ और स्टूडेंट्स को भी पिक करना शुरू कर दिया, थोड़ी साइड इनकम के लिए। इस वजह से हमें अलग रूट से जाना पड़ता। और उस रूट पर मैंने एक चीज़ रेगुलर नोटिस की। बाय द साइड ऑफ द स्ट्रीट देयर वाज अ मदर विद हर 2 children, a small boy and his younger sister. They were always in torn, dirty clothes, moving from shop to shop, asking for a rupee or two, maybe a piece of food, sometimes just water. मैं उन्हें लगभग रोज देखता था, चाहे धूप हो, ठंडी सुबह हो या मौसम कितना भी खराब क्यों ना हो। और फिर मैं अपनी वैन के अंदर खुद को और दोस्तों को देखता, sitting comfortably, stomach full, bags on our backs, laughing on the way to school. That contrast really struck me. Those children were even younger than me, yet they were struggling like that. And I hadn't done anything special to be where I was, just like they hadn't done anything to deserve their situation. But still, the suffering was real. No one could deny it. कभी कभी मैं पापा से उनके बारे में पूछता। एक बार मैंने उनसे पूछा, ये कहाँ रहते हैं? इनका घर है कहीं? इनकी जिंदगी ऐसी क्यों है? पापा ने बहुत जेंटली जवाब दिया, लोग ऐसे भी जीते हैं। सोसाइटी इन्हें बेगर्स कहती है। उन्होंने बहुत सिंपल और ऑनेस्ट वे में कहा, जैसे यही वर्ल्ड का सिस्टम है। लेकिन मेरे लिए सरप्राइजिंग ये था कि लोग सिर्फ ऐसे जी रहे थे, ये नहीं, बल्कि सबको ये नॉर्मल भी लगता था। कोई सवाल ही नहीं करता। एंड स्लोली I began noticing more. I realized that people everywhere have their own hardships. Maybe not begging on the street, but struggling in different ways. I reached class 9 and then came matric in class 10. जैसे हर पेरेंट्स अपने बच्चे से कहते हैं मेरे पेरेंट्स ने भी बोला कि पढ़ाई पर सीरियसली ध्यान दो। एक्स्ट्रा ट्यूशंस, आफ्टर स्कूल क्लासेस, सब स्टार्ट हो गया। इट वॉज अ फेज ऑफ प्रेशर। समहाउ आई वेंट थ्रू इट एंड पास्ड मैट्रिक। फिर आया क्लास 11। मैट्रिक के इतने रिगरस और प्रेशराइज्ड साल के बाद द फर्स्ट ईयर ऑफ कॉलेज फेल्ट वेरी डिफरेंट। Honestly, most of us, including me, didn't take it so seriously. It was like a relaxed year. No real pressure, no tension. लेकिन फिर आया क्लास 12। सडनली बड़ा सवाल सामने था, इंजीनियरिंग या मेडिकल। मिडिल क्लास फैमिली का टिपिकल ड्रीम, बस यही दो ऑप्शंस दिखाए जाते थे। The pressure returned, and life once again became a cycle of expectations and studies. I was just following the structured process that society had already laid out. You know, first you do this, then you do that, and after that, the next step is already decided for you. I was simply moving along with it. लेकिन अंदर कहीं गहराई में, मेरे कॉन्शियंस में एक सवाल था, एग्जिस्टेंस का सवाल। A question I couldn't even put into clear words back then, but I could feel it. I somehow knew it was connected to everything I was doing, or rather, everything I was just following as told. लेकिन उस समय की वेव इतनी स्ट्रॉन्ग थी, स्टडीज, एग्जाम्स, करियर चॉइसेस, कि मुझे कभी स्पेस ही नहीं मिला उस सवाल को सच में देखने का। It remained in me quietly. After class 12, I joined a coaching center for engineering preparation. They provided everything, classes, accommodation, food, all under one roof. लेकिन एडमिशन के लिए उनका अपना एंट्रेंस टेस्ट था, और somehow I cleared it. That was my first experience of staying in a hostel, living with 29 other students. Life there had a routine. Breakfast at 9 in the morning, then classes from 10 a.m. till 4 p.m. Evening tea, and at night, self-study. Day after day, the schedule moved almost mechanically. लेकिन इवनिंग्स थोड़ी अलग फील होती थी। हम सब हॉल के बाहर बैठते थे, चाय और बिस्किट्स के साथ, बस बातें करते हुए। नो फिक्स टॉपिक, एनीथिंग कुड कम अप। स्टडीज, लाइफ, रैंडम डिस्कशंस। And one evening, the conversation shifted toward the universe itself. How it began. Theories like the Big Bang. उस रात बिस्तर पर लेटे लेटे मैं लगातार यूनिवर्स के बिगिनिंग के बारे में सोचता रहा। Science says it started with a big bang, some explosion of energy and matter. But what exactly happened in the very beginning? Yet one thing is certain, whatever that event was, we are its consequence, and the suffering that follows us is tied to it. मैंने उसे पहले ही उन दो इनोसेंट बच्चों और उनकी माँ के चेहरे पर देखा था जो सड़क किनारे बैठे थे. And when I thought about it more, I could see the same pattern of hardship repeated everywhere. In humans, in different forms of life, the struggle for survival was undeniable. जितना ज़्यादा सोचता उतना ही रियलाइज़ होता सफ़रिंग के कितने अलग अलग चेहरे होते हैं. कोई अगली रोटी के लिए स्ट्रगल कर रहा है. Someone else has enough food but no peace in their family. A student breaks down under the pressure of exams. A parent silently carries the pain of not being able to provide what their child asks for. One person suffers from loneliness, while another suffers from being surrounded by people but never feeling understood. Even in seemingly small things, suffering appears. A neighbor's quarrel, a broken relationship, jealousy among friends, the weight of comparison. All these quietly eat away at people from the inside. It became clearer to me that suffering exists across all layers of life. Whether rich or poor, young or old, educated or uneducated, no one is untouched. It is not simply about lacking money or possessions. It is more about not understanding life itself. और कभी-कभी यही सफरिंग लोगों को डिप्रेशन की ओर ले जाती है. हम अक्सर सुनते हैं किसी ने एग्ज़ाम में अच्छा परफॉर्म ना करने की वजह से अपनी जान ले ली, या पेरेंट्स की एक्सपेक्टेशंस पूरी ना कर पाने की वजह से. Modern human beings are the result of nearly 4 billion years of evolution, from the very first cell to becoming the most adaptive species on Earth. Animals face pain and difficulties too, but they don't take their own lives, only humans do. With all this cerebral capacity, with such an advanced mind, what are we really doing with it? Or is it showing us something deeply wrong about the way we live and the society we have created? जब मैंने इंसानी दुख के बारे में और सोचा तो समझ आया, in trying to lessen it, humans have actually separated themselves even further into castes, religions, skin colors, societies, states, nations, so many divisions. And these very divisions create conflict. And conflict, in turn, only adds more suffering. History इसी से भरी हुई है. In ancient times, people killed each other with swords. In modern times, with the press of a single button. Millions of people have already lost their lives to nuclear attacks. The scale of suffering has only multiplied. People cheat, lie, and manipulate not because they are evil, but because they are desperate to escape their own suffering to get ahead in the race. From the smallest local office to the biggest international corporations, everyone is trying to bend rules for self-gain. और फिर भी इस सब के बावजूद क्या लोग सेटल है? No. Depression is rising. Suicide is rising. Families are breaking. Children are anxious. Parents are drowning in debt just to keep up an image. Neighbors प्रॉपर्टी लाइंस पर लड़ रहे हैं. ब्रदर्स लैंड डिस्प्यूट्स लेकर कोर्ट तक चले जाते हैं. Families break apart not because they lack food, but because they lack understanding. The society we live in is not designed to give human beings true fulfillment. It keeps us unknowingly running in patterns coded into our very DNA, an algorithm driven by fear, greed, and pleasure. And these, I realized, are not solutions at all, but the very causes of suffering itself. People don't just suffer silently. They are always trying to minimize their suffering, but the ways they choose often don't really solve it. Some run after money thinking once they earn enough, life will be settled. कुछ लोग रिलेशनशिप के पीछे भागते हैं, expecting another person to fill the emptiness inside. कुछ लोग अचीवमेंट्स, नाम और पहचान के पीछे भागते रहते हैं, believing that will finally bring peace. And then there are the smaller escapes. Entertainment, addictions, constant distractions, endless scrolling, eating, drinking, shopping. For a moment, these things give a feeling of relief, but it never lasts long. Very soon, the same restlessness silently returns. I began to see that temporary pleasures only cover up suffering. They don't remove it. In fact, they often create another kind of suffering. Addiction, comparison, dissatisfaction, an endless craving for something more. धीरे धीरे साफ होने लगा कि असली प्रॉब्लम बाहर नहीं है. The real issue is within the human mind itself, how it relates to life. I began to see that this never-ending restlessness of the mind is what drives every search for peace. But instead of understanding it, humankind keeps trying to settle it with temporary pleasures. Pleasures that are nothing but the result of short-lived chemical fluctuations in the brain. Dopamine, serotonin, endorphins, a few seconds of chemical high, and we call it happiness. But when those chemicals fade, the same emptiness quietly returns. When the mind cannot find peace within, it starts to exploit the world outside. Other people, nature, animals, just to fill its inner void. Now, with the rapidly increasing population and our unconscious blind consumption, global warming is accelerating at an alarming rate. Now, the concentration of CO2 in the atmosphere has reached a level that has become a major cause of species extinction. Each year, around 10,000 species vanish forever, a rate nearly 1,000 times faster than nature's normal rhythm. The oceans, once alive with color and song, are now turning silent. With rising temperatures, about 85% of the world's coral reefs have completely bleached or died, taking with them countless marine lives that depended on them. We are now at the beginning of the 6th mass extinction. Before this, all 5 mass extinctions in Earth's history were caused solely by natural reasons. But we, the so-called humans, the most intelligent species on Earth, have become the only species responsible for our own extinction, as well as that of countless innocent others.
This is now a clear global problem. The absolute consensus is that human action is leading to an increase in average temperatures. Absolute consensus.
Record-breaking heat waves are 100 times more likely because of climate change.
Now, a new study says that catastrophic climate change outcomes, including human extinction.
A new study finds that the Greenland ice sheet is set to lose 3.3% of its mass. That's equal to 110 trillion tons of ice.
Tonight, 7.2 million Olympic-sized swimming pools full of water. That is how much ice melted in Greenland in just 3 days this week during the unprecedented global heat wave.
In recent months, climate emergencies have been declared by Canada and a number of other countries. I'm sure you've heard them. Cities have also sounded the alarm. Well, this morning, in a brand new declaration, 11,000 scientists from 153 countries. The Alliance of World Scientists says it has a moral obligation to warn humanity. It says greenhouse gas emissions are still rising and that recent efforts to reduce them are not enough. The declaration also says the climate crisis is accelerating faster than many scientists predicted, that it's caused even more damage than many had feared. The Alliance says it had to speak out. Why? Because climate change is threatening ecosystems and, get this, the fate of humanity.
After all, ladies and gentlemen, in 2050, our grandchildren won't be asking what we said. They will be living with the consequences of what we did or didn't do.
The future of humanity is at stake. We know that we only have the possibility of avoiding a looming climate catastrophe if people like us refuse to give up. Simply put, if we don't protect nature, we can't protect ourselves.
Scientists are warning if drastic action isn't taken, climate change could reach a crisis level in just about a decade. UN researchers warn extreme drought, wildfires, floods, and global food shortages are on tap if nothing's done.
Climate scientists are issuing a final call to save the world from climate catastrophe.
Every bit
of warming matters. Climate change is already affecting people, ecosystems, and livelihoods all around the world.
We've told you the scientific facts, the evidence, the costs. It is up to the governments now to decide what to do with it.
The stats are clear. It's better for our health and it's better for the planet. 18% of all global emissions, greenhouse gas emissions, come as a consequence of animal agriculture. For context, only 13% comes from transportation. 45% of all the land mass on the earth is currently being used for animal agriculture. Every second there's deforestation happening to the size of a football pitch to feed the livestock.
We have until 2030 to avoid catastrophe.
Unprecedented changes to all aspects of society.
There's no doubt to the world scientific community that this is a direct result of human activity, and the effects of climate change will become astronomically worse in the future.
Ones who are disappearing forever do not even know why they are going extinct. Just one species out of the billions that inhabit this planet, this one species is responsible for mass obliteration. It's the poor, it's the voiceless that would be left behind to suffer and tragically die, and suffer a lot before dying.
The sound you hear is the ticking clock. We are in the final countdown to limit global temperature rise to 1.5 degrees Celsius. And time is not on our side.
We cannot underestimate a generation angst and full of anxiety over the reality of climate change for them and their generation.
I believe that we as human beings have the capacity to recognize that our survival is at stake and that we need to move faster, even though the big polluters have the political and economic power to try to block us.
I shouldn't be up here. I should be back in school on the other side of the ocean. Yet you all come to us young people for hope. How dare you? You have stolen my dreams and my childhood with your empty words, and yet I'm one of the lucky ones. People are suffering, people are dying, entire ecosystems are collapsing. We are in the beginning of a mass extinction, and all you can talk about is money and fairy tales of eternal economic growth. How dare you? You are failing us. But the young people are starting to understand your betrayal. The eyes of all future generations are upon you. And if you choose to fail us, I say we will never forgive you.
Our planet Earth, being a source of limited resources, cannot provide an infinite supply to satisfy the endless cravings of an ever-growing human population. In our blind hunger, we are consuming the planet itself. The fire we see outside is in truth the fire burning inside the human mind.